Welcome to day 4. Let's visit an enchanting winter lake in Germany. This prompt is different from our usual painting process as we will purely enjoy the uncontrollability and spontaneity of watercolor. The sketch is so simple. Draw a horizon line. On top will be a range of pine trees and below will be their reflection. I will use just two colors, indigo and Payne's gray. I get indigo straight from the tube and dab some thick horizontal strokes above the horizon line. I do some random strokes too below the horizon line. Notice that I varied the thickness of the strokes and made them broken lines. So this is the fun part. Using a spray bottle, I wet the upper fragment holding the sprayer at the direction going up and tilt my paper so the watercolor bleed will go on that direction. I slightly move my paper to somehow direct the movement of paint. I do the same thing of wetting the paper, but this time on opposite direction to paint the base wash of the reflection. Notice that there is some white unpainted gaps in the horizon line. It is important to preserve some white spots in the middle to give a sense of separation between the land and reflection. Since the paper has pool of water, I try to remove the excess water with my natural brush. I prefer doing it this way rather than dabbing the pool of water with tissue so I won't lose the natural effect the paint has created. Now I load my brush again with pure pigment and add some strokes to show the tree reflections. As you paint the reflection, the surface should still be moist so that the painting will have soft edges. I wiggle my brush to portray the image of the pine trees. I also vary the height and gap between the reflection of the trees. Now let's paint the pine trees. This time I use darker color using indigo and Payne's gray. As you paint this, observe the height or angle of the reflection so the trees and reflection would have a mirror image. The surface is also moist as I do this step, but since my brush has very thick amount of paint and my brush has almost no water in it, I am able to create defined strokes. We are almost complete with the painting. I'm just removing some more pool of water and adding little strokes for details. I'll dry it with my heat gun to speed up the drying process. Now that the fragment is dry, I'll add few pine trees with dark tone for added emphasis. This is our final painting. To recap, when painting reflection, the reflection is a mirror image of the object being reflected. Also, when painting wet on wet, we take into consideration the level of moisture in the brush and in the paper. Timing is important to create the desired, defined yet soft effect on strokes. Preserving some small white spots is also very important to separate the two dimensions. On our next destination, we will still use 2 to 3 colors, but we will mostly paint wet on dry in adding layers so you could also see which approach best suits your style.